Good morning, traders. This is Cloud Chartist. I thought it would be a good time to make a video about basically how I do my analysis on Ichimoku charts from the top down using ZN as an example. And by the top down, I mean I start with the longest time frame first and then work down to the shorter time frames when I'm looking for a trade setup or considering entering a trade. So I'm going to start off looking at the weekly chart. If you watch my weekly videos, you'll be familiar with this chart. So this is a longer time frame view encompassing several years. We go all the way back to 2013 here, so I'm going to blow it up so we can look at what's going on right now. So this red candle is the current weekly candle, and so I woke up this morning and saw that I was actually short last night on ZN, and I got stopped out, and of course it went right to my objective overnight, but that's generally the case with ZN. But so what happened what happened with this weekly candle is we came up and we tested the Kijun-sen slightly over the Kijun-sen. Let's make it even a little bit bigger to see. The Kijun-sen is this pink line. So we tested slightly over the Kijun-sen and got rejected by that. And then we were unable to hold the top of the cloud here and came back into the cloud. And right now we're testing the bottom of the cloud. So that is the longer the time frame, the more, shall we say, strong the Ichimoku elements and indicators are. So weekly cloud support is pretty darn strong. So if we're going to be trading shorter time frames, we still have to be cognizant of this important support level right here, where we're messing around, chopping around right in this area. If we do lose the weekly cloud support, then chances are likely that we will sell all the way down to this 160 Tenkan-sen level. But we might not do that quickly or in one day, or we may come down and test that level and then could bounce back into the cloud. But this is our defined range basically between the Kijun-sen and the Tenkan-sen, with the support in this area and then support down here at the Tenkan-sen. You notice that I also drew these trend lines for this sort of larger triangle type pattern. So if we do lose the support of the Tenkan-sen at 126,160, then I think it's entirely possible that we come down and test the trend line down here that we have been testing multiple times. And my trend line might not be totally accurate, but just it's a ballpark for where we might go if we do lose this level. So let's look at some shorter time frames. I am currently short, by the way. I did short the 127,020 level, which was actually my objective on my prior trade. So it's a little bit annoying but my prior trade was I was only looking for like yesterday I was only looking for about 10 ticks, and so I only really missed about 10 ticks, and I got stopped out for a loss of 3 ticks or something, so it wasn't any big deal. Looking at the daily time frame, we see that price action is inside the cloud, so it's neutral. We do have a flat Tenkan-sen and a flat Kijun-sen here, and when we have flat anything in Ichimoku, flat areas and indicators attract price. So what you might be asking me looking at this chart is you see these other flat areas up here, so you might think, well, there's a flat area up here and a flat area down here. Which one's going to attract the price? That's a good question. But since we are in a downtrend, and it sort of depends on which one we're closer to. But the fact that we're in a downtrend gives us a bias on the short side. So it's, to me, more likely that we will test the Tenkan-sen down here, 126,185. We do have cloud support right there too, so it's going to be interesting to see if we could get down there. And we do have also that the weekly support that we have to lose first. So we remember that the 126.160 level is where the Tenkan-sen was, and that's right around, in fact, exactly at the Kijun-sen right here. So if we do come down and test the Tenkan-sen, chances are we'll probably put in a couple more ticks and test the Kijun-sen as well, and test that Tenkan-sen support on the weekly. So another factor that we have going on here on the daily is we have the Chikou, this red line over here. This Chikou represents price action time shifted 26 periods into the past. So if you counted 26 candles back, you'd see that's where this price action, where this Chikou is located. So the Chikou interacts with other elements that are 26 days ago in this case. So we're underneath the Kijun-sen. So basically we have resistance at the Kijun-sen here. And if we do sell further and we're unable to get over the Kijun-sen, we will find support, the Chikou will find support at the top of this candle here, which is at 126.23 is the wick of it, and then the body candle is 126.215. So we could find some support before we get to the Tenkan-sen when the Chikou hits this candle. So keep that in mind also. Let's go to some shorter time frames to see we are continuing to move lower. And the closer we get to the flat Tenkan-sen, the more attractive it will be. I like to think of a magnet. Let's look at the 4 hour. This is significant. The 4 hour was, we were in this very bullish uptrend, then we went sideways for a while. We came down and we tested, we lost the Tenkan-sen on a closing basis here, and then we blasted back above it, and then we lost it again. So very confusing price action on the 4 hour. Put in this doji as we were unable to get over the Tenkan-sen here. Another doji was unable to get over the Tenkan-sen. So one might have thought that we would have sold down to the Kijun-sen at least. Then we put in this candle where we blasted back over and closed over the Tenkan-sen after testing all the way down here. That was like on Friday, I believe. And then we started ripping because the market sold off, and put in this potential topping candle, reversal type candle. Reversal was confirmed with a lower high and a lower low. Continuing lower, came down, tested the Tenkan-sen and found support. Continued to find support for several more 4 hour candles. And then this new 4 hour candle opened inside the Tenkan-sen. And when I saw that happen, I figured that there was a good chance that the short trade might be actually possible. It's been very difficult to short any treasuries lately on anything longer than 5 or 15 minute time frame. So this candle was unable to get over the Tenkan-sen, put in a close slightly under the Tenkan-sen, put in this potential, this doji indecision type candle. Then the next candle, we came up and tested the top of the Tenkan-sen here, and we were, solidly rejected, and came down and didn't quite test the Kijun-sen, but spanned this entire range between the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen. And then the new current candle that's open right now has been unable to hold the support of the Kijun-sen. Kijun-sen support is at 127.020, so that's right where I entered my short trade. So it's pretty significant. Like if we put in a close over the Kijun-sen, then we'll know that the Kijun-sen is holding as support, and so it's pretty clear risk reward on that trade, I believe. So what's going to happen next according to this chart? If we do continue lower, we will probably come down to this area of prior support here, 126.265, which should be evident on some shorter time frame. So let's take a peek. Let's go to the hourly. The hourly, we see price action is bearish. It's underneath the cloud, and the Chikou is in this prior area that actually has cloud support underneath. So although we don't see any clear support underneath the cloud here in current time, We do have support in Chicago time, which is back here 26 hours ago. So the Chicago could come into support down here at the cloud at 126.31. So keep an eye on that area if we do sell further. We also have flat Tenkan-sen and a flat Kijun-sen, suggesting the potential for some mean reversion, a bounce higher. So I don't really want to see that. If I'm short, I would prefer the Tenkan-sen to be pointing down. So if we get a little bit more selling momentum, that will happen. But right now we're the ES is sort of going sideways after putting in a potential reversal candle. So we'll see what happens. Let's look at the 30-minute. 30-minute chart is also bearish in Ichimoku terms. Price actions under the cloud, under the Tenkan-sen. This is actually a classic Ichimoku trade setup here. The 30-minute is, I like to call this setup the Tenkan smackdown. What happens is we have a existing downtrend here. Then we get a little bounce, an oversold bounce. We didn't quite get oversold on RSI, but we came very close to getting oversold on RSI. So we bounced, we came up, we tested the Tenkan-sen, and we were solidly rejected by the Tenkan-sen. We were unable to get over the Tenkan-sen on a closing basis, and so we sold off further. Now we're putting in some potential tweezer bottoms, so we need to keep an eye on that from if we're short, which I am. So we really need the current candle to make a new low below this prior candle. Otherwise, we're in danger of just moving sideways or even bouncing higher back to this 127.030 level. And as the 127.030 level is above my entry, I don't really want that to happen, as you can imagine. So let's look at the 15-minute time frame. Similar, obviously it looks similar to the 30-minute time frame, but we did actually manage to make it over the 15-minute Tenkan-sen and find support here for a while before we lost it. Now we're coming up, and we are catching a bounce, and so it looks like the potential is good for us to retest the 127.020 level that I entered my trade, and I really don't want it to go higher than that, but it could. So there's a flat Tenkan-sen attracting price here, and then above we have the flat Kijun-sen that could attract price higher also if we manage to get above the Tenkan-sen on a closing basis. And I'll just look at the 5-minute real briefly. I don't generally like to use the 5-minute to trade, but especially because the yen is not that liquid in after hours or non-US trading hours, so the price action can be choppy and difficult to read, and that's pretty much what's going on here. It's choppy and difficult to read, but you notice that the Kijun-sen is at the 127.020 level, and the Tenkan-sen is down here at the 127.010 level. So if we do put in a close above the Tenkan-sen on a 5-minute time frame, then we could very well come back up here and test the 020 level. So I hope that was helpful and informative, and if you're interested in learning more about Ichimoku and how to trade using Ichimoku, I do teach that in my chat room. I'm there from 8 to 4, sometimes later, sometimes earlier even, occasionally. I mean, sometimes later meaning after 4, sometimes I'm a little bit late. I get there 8:15, 8:30. So I'm teaching basically for at least 40 hours a week, so that adds up to about 160 hours a month, and I charge $99 for my members at the moment. So if you're interested in trying it out for a month and then deciding whether or not you want to stay, please visit my website at cloudchartist.com, and you will find information on how to sign up for the chat room there. Thank you for watching, and good luck trading today.